Dr. Saab, I know a lot of people, they take injury very lightly. They're like, it's okay. And then they continue to play a sport. According to you, when will be the time to hit the panic button?
Very, very good question. So in general, for like overuse injuries, sprains, strains, stuff like that, we typically give a timeline of about 4 to 6 weeks with some of the, what we call typical first line treatment. Oftentimes it's called RICE, rest, anti-inflammatories, compression, and elevation. That's usually the like the sort of immediate treatment for any sort of sprain or strain. If it starts to affect your ability to participate competitively. So if you really notice that I'm not playing to my normal level, it might be time to have it looked at, ideally sooner rather than later, before some of the weakness or bad compensation mechanisms develop. There are certain instances where pretty quickly you should seek medical treatment. Some of the obvious ones, like if you've had a fracture or broken bone, if you feel like you've had a concussion or you lost consciousness if you were hit in the head, if a joint sort of came out, you had a dislocation, if there's any sort of infection, like if the skin is very warm or hot, if your legs or arms are starting to go numb, if you've had a re-injury of a previous level, or something that's broken through the skin. I mean, these are sort of emergent. Most Mumini now have at least one doctor on speed dial, if not multiple, to get different opinions from. But sometimes it's a matter of Jalo, do I want to go to the ER? Do I want to go to a clinic and waste my time? I mean, the majority of us are happy to answer questions. So reach out and just say Sukaru, Gimtai, if there's any question or concern. But in general, if you're not participating to the level you are, if there's some concern about it, it's better to have it checked out and be like, okay, this is nothing, this will get better than to know, oh, you should have come in sooner, so we could have fixed this sooner.
So Dr. Saab, do you have any inspirational stories where you saw a person who got injured? And most of the cases, I know people get injured and they quit the sport. I'm not talking about professional sportsmen. I'm talking about people who play at the club level. So somebody who got injured and immediately they came back with a bang as they don't have any kind of an injury.
So there is one American football player, and he had an ACL injury, and he was one of the top running backs. So which is a very explosive, cutting, twisting position. He tore his ACL, and it was a pretty rough injury. Many people can get back to playing, but many people don't. And many people get back to a level, and many people don't. He underwent his surgery. It took him the usual 1 year to recover. And the next year that he came back, he broke almost every record in the book. He was MVP that year. He ran for the most number of yards that year. And his team did phenomenal because of him. And he's an example that we always bring up. At the same time, another player had a similar injury, and he came back to play the year later, and he fizzled out after 2-3 games. He did not do well. So and they had the same surgeon as well. So same injuries, same surgeons, same sport, and two completely divergent outcomes. So a lot of it still goes back to the athlete itself. What is your, first of all, desire and mental capacity to get back? What is your physical capacity as far as your training, your ability? And how dedicated are you? Are you able to put in the time and the effort to do it in a disciplined manner? It's not going to come easy. The recovery is not going to come easy. But it's totally possible, and it's possible to smash all the records after a potentially career-ending injury. That is one. That is one. Without going into too much detail, there's many mu'mineen that you may not even know sitting around you in Waz and stuff like that have had some pretty difficult physical injuries. And what we've always been surprised by is similarly this X factor. So two people can have the same injury, two people can have the same sort of ilaj, and yet have a different outcome. Some things are controllable, some things are not controllable. And this is where, now this is my own personal philosophy, but this is where Mola's dua, Mola's nazar, and our amal really then shines. How do we improve that X factor? How do we control the things that are frankly beyond our control to really be able to get back? And I think that's where all these things just magically line up, and all of a sudden you've recovered better than you expected. Or doctors told you it would be 6 months before you play, and you're back in 4 months playing better than you can. So all these little things can really get us prepared to be 100% in many walks of life, whether it be business, whether it be personal development, or whether it be sports.
એમ કહેવાય છે કે prevention is better than cure. And આજની generation એટલું prevent કરી દે છે that they're not even going out and playing any sports. What is your what is a piece of advice you would like to give the young generation?
Yes, very important question. So one of the most important things to prevent sports injuries is exercise regularly.
Okay.
Regular exercise stimulates the muscles in your body, keeps your joints healthy, keeps your joints moving, keeps your tendons strong. And along with stretching and strengthening, improves your endurance, improves your flexibility, and improves not only your physical health, your mental health, but also decreases your risk of injury. Two other things is make sure you hydrate properly. Very important, especially most of us live in warm climates. We play outside. It's surprising how quickly we become dehydrated because we're young and fit. Not me, but many of you guys listening are young and fit. You don't realize that you're actually dehydrated. So make sure you're playing before, you're drinking before, during, and after the games. And even when you're not playing, aiming for about 6 to 8 glasses of water a day is a general recommendation. So staying hydrated. And then another one is make sure you play to your means. Ensure you're trained, ensure you're warmed up, but remember that sports activity, sports participation is a long-term game. And even if you don't do your 100% this game, it might be you want to be prepared for the next game and next game. You don't want to be knocked out at this week's game. That includes warming up, that includes exercise, but it also includes giving your body rest. So at least once a week, taking a day off from lifting, from exercising, lifting, those sorts of things. And some people even mention on top of that once a month, and potentially even 1 month a year, just avoiding whatever sport you're playing, just to give your body some rest. But in general, at least 1 day a week.
Sure. I'm sure it's going to help and benefit a lot of people who are listening to us right now, watching us right now.
Keeping our focus on Mola brings us together to make sure that we're staying healthy, staying fit, and both mentally and physically ready, especially to perform amal and perform khidmat tabaka Mola. Some of our amal are physical. Hajj is a physical amal. Ziyarat is a physical amal. Even namaz. Staying healthy, staying active, keeping our joints moving allows us to pray namaz, perform ziyarat, perform hajj, and even go to Mola's Hazrat into our late years, 70s, 80s, 90s, and potentially beyond. One example is Ashara. Having the fitness and the endurance to sit for wise, to have the mental focus, physical focus, and mental focus to sit for 2.5, 3, 4 hours to take in all of wise, and then after that be ready for Pur Josh Matam. Let our physical limits and our mental limits not prevent us or allow us to do Pur Josh Matam of Mola. If you look at it just from a physical aspect, it's important. So as we prepare now, Ashura Thegu, we're already preparing for next year's Ashura. Ensure our upper extremities, ensure our lower extremities stay safe, so that we're physically fit, mentally fit, to listen to us, participate for Matam. And be physically ready, mentally ready, so that whenever we get the chance to perform Mola's Khidmat, we're able to obtain Mola's Khushi.
So thank you, Dr. Mufaddal. It was excellent to have you here. What amazing answers I've got as a sportsman. I'm really inspired by your advices. And once again, I would like to thank you, and I really wish you all the best in your life. Hope you continue to attain success in your medical field, and you make us, our community, proud.
Shukriya, Yuosuf. It's truly my pleasure.
So that's it from our end, and I thank everybody who's watching us right now to come join us, and stay fit, stay healthy. All the best.